up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big John and G, the two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Recoculous Games is a publishing company I enjoy and would like to bring to your attention. Recoculous Games from San Jose, California, is run by the gaming creative genius of James Gray, who I can only imagine years ago had a vision that he has since seen through. I was unaware of Crazier 8s when it first came out, and even the second edition of Crazier 8s got under my radar somehow and I missed it. However, when they came out with Camelot, that is when it caught my attention. Crazier 8s and the Crazier 8 title games takes the family familiar and fun game of Crazy 8s and gives it a fantasy twist. Or fantasy twists, I should say, since there are several games and each of them are a little bit different, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that each time James Gray comes out with a new title for the Crazier 8 games, that I'm going to find something new and different that wasn't in the previous games. I love that. Thank you. That's a little thing. You could very easily be just making different versions of the same exact game and just putting on a new skin every time. But no, something needs or feels like it should be different. And James Gray has done that. And he's made each of them a little bit different. Like, for example, the Camelot and Avalon. That's another thing, is each of these games have a small companion game with them. Like, Camelot has a smaller separate deck Avalon that can be added to the game and will give you the opportunity to have more players, or the same amount of players but longer games because there are more cards. Now, when they advanced from Crazier 8's second edition to the Camelot and Avalon game, one of the things that got added into it, which really to this day still makes it one of my favorite of all the Crazier 8 games, is that it added different win conditions. Unlike a normal Crazy 8 game where you win by getting rid of all the cards in your hand, that's still the standard in all of these titles. But with Crazier 8's Camelot and Avalon, different win conditions were added, such as at the end of your turn, if you're in possession of, if you have 3 assets out in play, then you win the game. Things like that. In fact, I don't think I've actually won a game of Crazier 8's Camelot by getting rid of all the cards from my hand. I swear, every time I've won has been through one of the alternate win conditions. Then they came out with Crazier 8's 1001 Nights, with the companion tuck box, Shahrazad. I don't think I ever say that right. Now, one of the things that was really added different to this was they added new ways that you were going to acquire assets. Although they didn't add on or really bring back the alternate win ways, they did add in this whole way of working with the assets and acquiring them that was absent in the previous games. The most recent addition to the whole family of Crazier 8's games was Olympus and Pantheon. Now with these, the big thing I noticed is one, there were cards that let you manipulate the drawer pile a little bit, but that's not what stood out to me. What I enjoyed most new to this version of the game was that aces were representation of the Greek gods, and because they are deities, they cannot be destroyed. So these aces, which are assets, they're in play. Now maybe they can change hands between players, but they cannot be destroyed because they are deities, and you are just mere mortals. And so I really enjoyed that so much. Now, they have another one coming out that I'm already biting at the chomps for, waiting for, and they're continuing they're continuing with the Greek myths. So if you notice, they started off with basic fantasy Middle Ages kind of thing with Crazier 8's first and second edition. Then from there, they went specifically to Camelot. I like that. And then 1001 Nights, the Arabian Tales. Very interesting. And then finally going to Greek myths. I love Greek mythology. I love King Arthur stuff too. I've been a casual fan of the Arabian Nights stories since I was a child, at least the American horrible rewritings and retelling of the stories, but it made me familiar with it. And now to continue with the Greek stuff, I'm really excited here for Elysium. And for what I've been reading about this, they've brought back the multiple win conditions. James Gray brought that back. So I'm really happy about that. And he also added, I was reading something I didn't quite 100% understand. It's not deck building. He called it engine building. And I think one of the things that was meant by that was, for one example, not that this is all that it encompasses, but for one example, certain cards are great for combination effects. And you're able to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with just one card, but because you have this card out in play, when you play the other card, it's going to be a better effect for you. I find that very interesting, and I'm hoping that since this is continuing with the Greek myth as its example, as its skin, so to speak, that there will be some more undestroyable gods of Olympus. That's always fun. So these games are also one of, and I can't believe it's like almost 7 minutes into this, and I haven't mentioned yet the thing I always mention, especially usually first, and that is the beauty of the art. These cards are some of the most beautiful cards I have ever looked at. They are both representations of classic medieval style art as well as actual medieval style art that's just been ripped for use here on the cards. And it's amazing. Every time I play the game, I feel like I'm walking through. The cloisters, through the tapestry room. It's fantastic. My eyes get lost in the beauty of these cards. But now, besides Crazier 8's Elysium, I recently read that James Gray has 2 other upcoming games that aren't part of the Crazier 8's family. So now I'm excited. I'm cautiously excited because I know I enjoy the way the way he runs the rules for the Crazier 8 games. I'm familiar with them. I enjoy them. I understand them. I'm happy with them. So I'm a little curious to see what's going to happen now that we're seeing different gaming systems, different rule systems, different games coming out by this company, and how that's going to work. One of the 2 new games that I've recently read about is called Magician, the card game. Now, I don't know too much about either of these, but I did read that Magician, the card game, is going to be this combat-orientated fantasy deck building game, and it was described as sort of a combination between Magic the Gathering, the basic ideas behind that game, mechanics, along with Dominion and some of that deck building system that it uses. So I'm a little curious. I was an early fan of Magic the Card Gathering before I got that monkey off my back, or should I say my wallet. And I have Dominion, but I've never actually played it. So I'm curious to find out more about this game, Magician. Now, the other one that is up and coming that I've been reading about is called Myth and Magic. And I really love that title because I remember a really early late 70s, maybe early 80s, but I think it was late 70s RPG, one of the first generations after Dungeons and Dragons hit the market, and that was called Man, Myth, and Magic, and that was a really great game. So this title just reminds me of that. But Myth and Magic is another fantasy card game, and it's going to be about getting rid of all the cards from your opponent's hand. So a little bit different than Crazier 8's, where you're getting rid of your own cards to win. And this one is the opposite. You have to get rid of the other opponent's cards to win. But there are going to be alternate win conditions that are that are going to be built into this game that are going to be tied in with certain matching of colors in your hand, of the effects, and that's going to change things and alter some of the ways that you can win. So I'm looking forward to checking out both of these games. I'm really curious about them. As far as I'm concerned, I say that Recoculous Games has a great track record. They're doing exactly what they want to do, and they're succeeding at it. They're taking a basic, well-loved game, and they're reinterpreting it in a way for fantasy nerds to appreciate it even more. And I do. So thank you very much for giving this game to the world, for letting people try it and see if they like it. And I just wanted to let more people know about this company, and maybe they will check out the games and realize that I'm right. Well, I'm right for me. I'm not trying to bully my opinion on you, but you might agree with me. And in that case, I'm right. If you don't agree with me, I'm sorry that we're wrong. But I hope you do. Go check out Recoculous Games. Pick up a copy of any one of the Crazier 8s, and I guarantee you, you and your friends or you and your family are going to have a good time with this game. If you like Crazy 8 games, you're going to enjoy this. So thank you for listening to this talk about Recoculous Games. Please go check them out.